Hello everyone, welcome back to another card combo show with me, Chocobilly, and this week we are looking at a card that has most definitely been doing the rounds, especially at Worlds. It is Warrior of Light. Yeah, this card just likes to vomit forwards onto the field, and there are so many things it goes well with, because you play 3 forwards onto the field, or 3 characters technically. And yeah, just really good. So he's a 7 CP 9k light forward with the text, when Warrior of Light enters the field due to your cast, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Play up to 2 characters across 3 among them onto the field and return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. And then his ultimate shield S, which is just an S. Until then, return Warrior of Light and the forwards across 3 you control. Game this forward cannot be chosen by opponent's summons abilities. So he protects himself and all the things he can bring onto the field, which is really good. But yeah, ultimately plays 2 characters that he reveals onto the field, which is that's phenomenal. Fits in any deck because he's a light card, so yeah, just works exceptionally well with everything. So the card combo I will not be covering is Axstar, because this is the thing he gets played with always. Now there is a combo that he also gets played a lot with, but that's because this is like a me evolution of it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Axstar and the Warriors just work really well together. Having Tyvas to search Axstar, if you need him, Warrior of Light, or just, you know, just being able to play things really cheaply and easily work really well with this deck. So yeah, anyway, moving on. First up we have Grahatir. So Grahatir comes onto the field. You can pay X, search for a sign of that cost and play that onto the field and rinse and repeat. Now, normally it would be Grahatir into Elise, or Elise into Grahatir, but obviously this is off Warrior Light. So, Warrior Light, Grahatir, pay 4 for Elise. No, pay 7 for Thancred. Now, obviously, when Thancred enters the field, choose 1 forward in your break zone. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of water forwards and or water backups you control, play it onto the field. So you need to make sure you've got enough water forwards or backups. I'm not going to say water characters because it doesn't include monsters, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, let's say, hypothetically, you have... And the problem with this version of the combo is that it's fairly mid to late game that you'll be doing this, because you're paying 7 for Warrior, like 7 for Thancred from Grahatir. So, yeah. But either way, this is just me, you know, doing my my theory stuff, my theory crafting. So, yeah, you would need 4 water forwards, or forwards and backups on the field. So you go Grahatir into Thancred, into Elise, which then goes into Urianger and not Y'shtola, as some people might expect. At which point Urianger then plays probably a monster that you want to be a forward. So let's go with Melusine, shall we? Because Melusine can then take control of your opponent's forward. So let's see, you've gone Warrior of Light to Grahatir, to Thancred, to Elise, to Urianger, to Melusine, to then your opponent's forward. But this is only off of one of the forwards that Warrior of Light has brought in. What's the other forward, you ask? Illiwa. So let's say you bring in Illiwa and Grahatir and all of these guys. You now have Warrior, Grahar, Thancred, Elise, Urianger, Melusine, forward that she steals, and Illiwa. If you have an Illiwa S in hand, everything becomes active and can attack with haste. And you minus 2k your opponent's board. That's 8 attackers from 7 CP for Warrior Light, 7 CP for Thancred, and a discard for Illiwa's S ability. So, a total of, what, 16 CP technically. That's not too shabby, though. That's really good. And, I mean, that's using Thancred, right? I basically tried to push this as far as I could and think, how could we create the longest chain using Grahatir? You can easily just lose Thancred from this and just go Warrior Light, Grahatir, Elise, Urianger, Melusine, forward, and then, like I said, Illiwa, S. Everything gains haste and can attack. That's the great thing about Melusine with Illiwa, sorry. Because Illiwa's S ability is activate all the forwards you control, they gain haste until end of turn, your opponent's forwards lose 2,000 power till end of turn. So even if your opponent attacked with the forward that Melusine takes in their previous turn, it activates and now has haste, so you can attack with it anyway in your turn as well. So, it doesn't matter. It's just fantastically powerful. And yeah, even without Thancred, you get 7 attackers on the field. With Thancred, you get 8. And Thancred also has the effect of... when Thancred attacks, choose 1 active forward opponent controls. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of lightning forwards and or lightning backups you control, break it. I mean, just off forwards alone, you'd have Grahar, Thancred, Elise, Urianger, Melusine, maybe the forward, but then also Ilya as well. That's a 6 CP forward that can break. Has to be active, but still, that's pretty good. So, yeah, that's pretty fun if you ask me, and that is exactly why I make this show, because seeing how far down the rabbit hole you can go and just seeing all the stupid stuff you can do. But regardless of Grahatir and all the things that he can bring in, Ilya is also just generally a really good card to run with Warrior Light, because obviously 3 CP comes onto the field, but then gives everything on the field haste. So Warrior of Light will have haste. Ilya will have haste, or she has haste anyway, but then anything else that Warrior of Light brings onto the field, whatever you chain into it, all gains haste, doesn't matter if it comes in dull, becomes active, and your opponent's field is minus 2k as well. Ilya is... she doesn't get played much anymore, but her S ability and her standard, and just generally everything about this card is very, very strong. She could probably afford to be a 7k forward these days, but it doesn't matter. She'll S ability to activate all your forwards, give them haste and minus 2k to your opponent's board. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, if you're enjoying what you're watching, please make sure to subscribe. It's, like I said before, it's really, really helpful to the channel. Make sure to like as well, because that helps more people find this stuff as well. And obviously, it's not just FFTCG content on here as well. I also do Let's Plays. I tend to challenge runs of games as well, mostly Final Fantasy games or Square Enix JRPGs, but, you know, there's a few other things spiced in there as well, some Metroidvanias. But yeah, please make sure to subscribe. It makes a big difference. Right, next up we have Setzer. So obviously Warrior of Light only gains its effect from being cast onto the field, but at some point Warrior of Light is probably going to die, at which point you play Setzer onto the field. Once per turn you can cast a card removed from Setzer's ability anytime you normally cast it. When Setzer enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards in your break zone, remove them from the game. So you can play Setzer, remove Warrior of Light, and then immediately cast it, which is really, really good. And obviously Setzer can be brought onto the field through Warrior of Light as well, which again, similar to Grahatir, it's just another way of getting a forward out of your break zone, immediately playing onto the field. Yes, you have to pay for it, but still, that's fine. Again, just like Grahatir. Rosa, so when you cast the 3rd card, obviously you get your backups back, and then when you cast the 5th card, reveal the top card of your deck as a character, you may play it onto the field. So getting Warrior of Light onto the field to then play Rosa and other things is fantastic. Obviously Rosa, you can't use that to bring Warrior Light, well you can use it to bring Warrior Light on the field, but you won't get the cast effect. So that means Warrior Light won't bring anything onto the field. However, just being able to just, again, get things onto the field for free with Rosa, and in Wind, very easy to activate your backups, Warrior Light into Rosa, into maybe, you know, Everay, to then play one other thing, to then do something else, and all of a sudden you've got all your backups back, playing more things, and just keep on casting things onto the field for free using Warrior of Light and Rosa's effect. Chocobo. Warrior Light into Chocobo, into Chocobo, into Chocobo, into Chocobo. Simple as that, really. Yang. So, again, similar to the Chocobo, it's more about playing things onto the field and how you can maximize that effect. So, at damage 1, when Yang hits the field, you may play 1 job monk or cardinal monk from your hand onto the field. And obviously, Warrior Light can only play 3 CP back, forwards, characters even, so Ursula doesn't count, or the 4 CP Ursula anyway, which is the one that always gets played to monks. But Yang can then play that onto the field. Ursula then can play another monk onto the field from the break zone, so yeah, you can accelerate pretty quickly. And there are a fair amount of 3 CP monk forwards as well. So yeah, I mean, you've got obviously Sabin, but then you've got the monk that deals damage between 2 forwards, you've got 2 Precious, you've got Ash, who's a really good new inclusion, doing stupid things for all your brave forwards. Yeah, so you've got ultimately you've got different options for the forwards that you could be playing onto the field with Yang, not to mention the fact you've also got some decent 3 CP monk backups as well. Layla, so yeah, this is less of a good play, but are any of these really good plays? Layla, obviously you can play it onto the field, searches you a Viking or a Pirate, which means you can then play Bike onto the field for free, but you also got the Vikings, sorry, that are 3 CP. They then get you cards onto the field, and there's plenty of other water forwards in 3 CP that, you know, can utilize those cards nicely and draw you more cards, get more forwards on the field, ultimately be able to utilize being able to attack with lots of things, minusing forwards on your minusing power on your to your opponent's forwards on their board. Good lord, can't speak. Lock. So there are a scary amount of 3 CP 6 forwards that are just generally pretty good, to be honest, and this lock obviously is one of them. Now the sellers that you'd want to run with this wouldn't be the 3 CP one, so that's one downside, but like with most of these decks, you'll run a few cards that, or a few forwards that aren't 3 CP because their synergy is just strong enough. So yeah, I don't really see a problem with that, and ultimately lock can find you the sellers. You can then play the sellers onto the field. Both of them then have haste, but Warrior Light brings 2 things onto the field, so you've also got Strago. So if you do miss off the lock, you might not miss off the Strago. like I said, lots of cards, lots of EXs, lots of, you know, consistency, be able to find things and reveal things off the top of the deck, and then go really, really aggro really quickly. Jesse. Well, not so much Jesse, but the Avalanche operatives. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. I was about to say Jesse and James. Wrong franchise. Yeah, so Jesse, Biggs, Wedge. All of those guys, 3 CP forwards. You can also run some of the other 3 CP forwards as well in the Avalanche operative setups. I mean, you've got... Is it Polk? Who's a 3 CP as well. And you can craft the deck a bit more behind it to be able to get these things on the field. Now, obviously, these guys become stupidly cheap anyway, but it's still acceleration. If you haven't got them in your hand, you can maybe go search for them using something like Ziggy, is that his name? But Warrior on the field, find Jesse, find Wedge, just ping onto the field. You still got 3 forwards for 7 CP, which is, you know, still pretty good. Paris, or generally Warriors of Light. So obviously she comes onto the field, Warrior Light on the field, and then maybe another Warrior Light on the field. Faris deals all of them damage, and then you get to ping 3 packets of 3k to something. And if you're damage 3, she gets to search a Warrior Light and add it to your hand as well. So you've also played 2 forwards onto the field, 3 forwards onto the field with the Warrior Light, and then you've searched one to hand as well. But obviously there's a lot further we can take this. So Lena, let's say you've got Faris and Lena. You play Lena onto the field, you then, I don't know, maybe pay a couple of crystals, play another forward onto the field, and all of a sudden you've got Warrior Light, Lena, another Warrior Light, and Faris. Deal all the damage to those, ping even more. But we'll go even further. Let's say Dusk. Now what you could do here is hypothetically have Warrior Light come onto the field and have Lena and Dusk enter. Pay the 1 water for Dusk, pay the 2 crystals for Lena, and then maybe the 1 crystal for Lena as well. Play a 2 CP from your break zone. You're now bringing in Warrior of Light, Lena, 2 CP forward, 3 CP forward, Dusk, and then whatever Dusk brings in, which will Faris. And yeah, you've then just got stupid amounts of Warrior Lights on the field. Faris hits all of them, pings damage in every direction, and also this works quite nicely because let's say hypothetically you go Faris and Dusk, you can search a forward off of Faris, you can pay the 1 for Dusk but have it resolves in such a way that you search with Faris to get maybe Lena to hand. You've paid the water for Dusk, Dusk then plays Lena onto the field, which is searched off the Faris to then play 2 more forwards. So there are loads of different ways that this can work really nicely. And then finally Bart's, because Bart's gains a crystal whenever a Warrior Light enters the field. So, let's say Warrior Light enters the field, Varus enters the field, Dusk enters the field, you've just gained 3 crystals. You then search for Lena off of the Faris, play onto the field with Dusk, you've now got 4 crystals, not to mention, obviously there'll be 1 for the Barts. You pay all 3 crystals to bring 2 more things onto the field, probably Warriors of Light. You've just like vomited what? Warrior Light, Faris, Lena, Dusk, and then 2 other forwards from Lena's effect, not to mention the fact that you've also got Barts. 7 forwards. You don't have the aggression of the Illua play, but you've got Faris hitting all those forwards for 1k to then deal 3k times as many Warriors of Light that get hit by that effect. That's pretty scary, and Warriors of Light are horrible to have to deal with sometimes, so yeah, that's just a hilarious way to be able to vomit things onto the field, and it fits nicely with Warrior Light because they are Warriors of Light. Megissa. Turns out she likes 3 CP forwards, and so does Warrior Light, so you know, just like I said earlier, you will have forwards in a 3 CP focus deck that aren't 3 CP themselves because they synergize so well with them. So just have a mono fire deck with Megissa and Warrior of Light and just get all those 3 CP forwards onto the field for cheap because just deal Megissa some damage, play Warrior Light, who knows, but either way it works really well. And then obviously Alphino fits perfectly into this. Play Warrior Light to reveal Alphino to search your Megissa, or you use Megissa to play Alphino to then search your Warrior Light. Either way, it works lovely. And you could even run the Elise as well, who will search you the Alphino, or could play the Alphino from hand if you've already got him there. So, you know, more ways to find the cards you want if you want to amass an even bigger board. And finally Golbez, because if you want to keep on consistently vomiting forwards onto the field. I like using that phrase today, don't I? Vomiting forwards. But yeah, Warrior Light obviously plays things onto the field. Golbez every turn will play something onto the field. Warrior Light does do characters, whereas Golbez is only forwards. But still, if you've got enough 3 CP forwards in your deck, there's a good chance Golbez will hit and Warrior Light will hit. And yeah, just keep on doing it consistently. Now, Golbez won't stick around because he's, you know, even 1 forward is a lot for Golbez. if you've got something like, I don't know, Auron or, I don't know, the 7-cost Phil Thanos to act as some sort of lightning rod, then you never know, Gobbers might get you even more value. But unlikely, you know, 7 CP Phil Thanos, 7 CP Warrior Light, Gobbers. I mean, it could happen. Anyway, there we go, folks. That is Warrior of Light. There are so many things you can do with this card. It's ridiculous. Just a mono wind deck, and just put all the good 3 CP forwards in there, and there are stupid amounts of good wind 3 CP forwards. Lulu, Fina. I can't think of any now I've said that. Typhon as well, actually, because it is character, so can play monsters as well if you wanted to. But ultimately, yeah, this card is absolutely bonkers. He can play, like, anything that can play things onto the field quickly and cheaply is really, really strong. And that is very much what the meta is trending towards at the moment. Just stupid amounts of things on the field and go. We kind of saw the precursor of this. Actually, we almost saw this early with Soirees, but then when the 13 starter deck started and came out, that was really like, oh, like 3 things on the field and 5 points of damage, or 4 things on the field and 6 points of damage, something like that. And it's like, this is disgustingly powerful and very easy to play. And that's the thing with Warrior, like, I haven't even talked about Axar because I don't want to, because he's the obvious play, and it's just, it works so nicely with so much stuff. Being able to freeze everything else out that isn't a 7C, isn't a 3 CP, sorry, so yeah, you lose your Warrior Light, but you get more things on the field. It's just crazy good. But yeah, let me know what you guys have put Warrior Light with. There are some stupid things he can be done with, so yeah, it's a fantastic card, but a little scary that that's what the meta is at the moment. If you're going to any big tournaments, expect aggro. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe, be lucky, and I'll see you in the next video.